Following Swallow, Lushri entered the treehouse. Although it was her first time stepping into this place during her days at the camp, she had come to understand that this was the leader's room and also the meeting hall. Finally, she would learn the truth. Excitement, unease, fear, or something else regardless, once she went inside, the mysteries would be revealed. Where is this place? Why am I here? What's with these huge, terrifying trees? And so many questions filled her mind, and today she would finally get answers. She recalled the moment a few days ago when she couldn't help but ask Swallow about her doubts. Where is this place? Lucien Roy's home was in H City, a city known for tourism and leisure. Although it wasn't as bustling as S City or the capital B City, it was, in her opinion, the best place to live. Of course, H City wasn't remote like this. Being a coastal area, it had some hills at most, but the landscape here, which resembled a large forest reserve, was impossible. I'm sorry, I can't answer that now. Please wait until the rest of your batch wakes up. The leader will meet with you then. Until that time, it's best if you keep moving to regain your mobility. Swallow's expression back then carried an apology she couldn't express and an inexplicable bitterness. Yet her firm gaze told Lushri that further questioning would be futile. In the past few days, Swallow wasn't always available, and sometimes other women accompanied and helped Lushri with her recovery exercises. During this time, she noticed many other peculiarities. For example, there were very few women in the camp, making up only about 1/7 or 1/8 of the total population. Everyone was very young, mostly between 25 and 29 years old, comprising about 2/3 of the camp. What disturbed her most was that people here could easily jump 2 to 3 meters high, and she could do the same. Is this still Earth? Is this still my body? She dared not ask, fearing a terrifying answer. The camp seemed to be severely lacking in daily supplies. Initially, she didn't notice much, but later she found that people wore clothes woven from plant fibers, with only their undergarments made from soft plant fibers in a similar manner, and a few wore clothes made from animal skins. Daily food consisted of a few wild fruits, wild vegetable soup, a piece of jerky or dried fish, though filling, it was rough and plain. Even the sweet tree juice Swallow gave her was a special treatment for her weakness, not something others usually had. She even wondered if she had traveled through time like in a novel, yet the people around her, despite the oddities, conversed like ordinary urban dwellers, using contemporary slang and online terms. Thus, she could only suppress her unease, enduring the growing confusion each day, until today. Entering the meeting hall, there were already a few people inside. Sitting directly opposite the door, the leader looked about 30, quite ordinary in appearance but with a trustworthy aura. He glanced at Lushri, giving her a reassuring look that calmed her nervousness. To his left sat a middle-aged man, close to 40, who nodded at her, leaving her perplexed. Next to the middle-aged man was another older man with the demeanor of a scholar. To the leader's right was a younger man, quite handsome, who looked at her with interest. Though he smiled, it was a business-like, emotionless smile, which made her uneasy. On the far right was one of the few people she recognized in the camp, the doctor. Over the past few days, she had gone to him for her rehabilitation checkups. The doctor was 25 years old, a bit sharp-tongued, but a good person overall. The empty seat next to the doctor was taken by Swallow after she entered. Opposite these people sat 2 white men who looked alike, probably brothers. The older one, around the doctor's age, was slender with short brown hair and deep green eyes, his features typically Caucasian. His younger brother seemed to be in his early 20s, with slightly darker skin but lighter hair and eyes, and a larger build than his brother. All right, everyone's here. The leader indicated for her to sit next to the older brother and then said, "First, let's introduce ourselves. I am the leader of this camp. Welcome to our community. I am Merchant, the logistics officer here, responsible for distributing supplies." The middle-aged man on the leader's left spoke. "I am Hawkeye," said the man to the leader's right, with that unsettling smile, currently in charge of the collection team, responsible for gathering food and other useful materials. "You all probably know me. I am the doctor, responsible for everyone's health. I am Swallow," Swallow's gentle voice rang out, "in charge of daily living matters, like your clothing and washing, and managing the women in this camp. I am the prophet, though I'm actually just in charge of weather observation. I was a meteorologist, the middle-aged man next to Merchant said. There's one more person you should meet. He's Big Bear, our hunting team leader, but he's out with the hunting team now. We'll introduce you when he returns. The leader looked at Lushri and the brothers, indicating it was their turn. Lushri hesitated to speak, but the older brother's raspy voice, speaking perfect Chinese, cut in. Nice to meet you all. I am Joker, and this is my brother Ace. He doesn't understand Chinese. We're from D country. Ace seemed to trust his brother completely, showing no anxiety despite not understanding the language, simply listening attentively. Finally, all eyes were on Lushri. She steadied herself and said, Hello, everyone, I'm Shri. She recalled Swallow mentioning they used aliases, and a simple name would suffice. The leader nodded, All right, I understand. I'm sure you all have many questions over the past few days. Prophet, please explain the current situation to them. Ahem, the middle-aged man coughed to draw attention and raised a finger. First, this is still Earth. You have not traveled back to prehistoric times. Next, this is not the Earth we knew in the year 21XX. He raised a second finger. What do you mean by that? Joker frowned, tapping his forehead with his finger. Do you remember your last memory before waking up? It was probably an ordinary day, then entering the wellness pod for deep sleep, right? Same for me. Prophet didn't answer directly but started explaining from an unrelated angle. Did you know? Most people here, including you and me, were initially found frozen in the wellness pods. Lushri shuddered at the familiar term. Wellness pods, filled with wellness fluid, simulate the womb environment, allowing people to breathe through their skin without drowning. In Lu Xinrui's time, due to the fast-paced society, many mid to high-level professionals suffered from insomnia, and wellness pods provided natural deep sleep, becoming popular among the upper middle class. Wellness pods not only facilitated deep sleep but also allowed long-term use to absorb the nutrients in the wellness fluid, improving the health of people who had little time for exercise like white-collar workers and tech professionals. With all these benefits, wellness pods were naturally expensive, ranging from 100,000 to 1 million RMB, depending on the model and function, making them a luxury for most households, but affordable for the wealthy. According to my speculation, something happened while we were asleep, triggering a new ice age on Earth. The last person to sleep in our camp entered their pod at 1 a.m., meaning the temperature dropped sharply after that, freezing us instantly. Prophet continued, We didn't expect the ice age to come so soon. We thought it wouldn't happen until at least the 23rd century. We don't know why it happened early, but it did. The New Ice Age, a term Lushri was familiar with. Since the last century, Earth's ecology had somewhat recovered with advanced technology, avoiding initial global weather disasters, but it seemed to worsen again recently. Though it didn't significantly affect daily life, alarmist scholars increasingly warned of dire consequences, with many supporting the New Ice Age hypothesis. This hypothesis posited that Earth, strained by human activity, would undergo natural adjustments, triggering a new ice age, cooling the climate, and causing over 85% of species to go extinct. If temperatures suddenly dropped drastically, frail humans would certainly not be among the surviving 15%. Thanks to those meteorologists frequently airing their findings on TV, Lushri was well acquainted with the term. You mean cryopreservation? Joker focused on another point. Cryopreservation, a technology from the 20th century, involved freezing living organisms rapidly and then thawing them, preserving their viability. This technology was quickly applied to wealthy individuals with incurable diseases, hoping they could be revived and cured in the future. It was also used to preserve samples of rare species. By the 22nd century, this technology had become even more advanced. Something like that, Prophet confirmed, but you see, while the entire world was frozen instantly, normal cryopreservation still requires external care, which we didn't have. We don't know how long we were frozen, but it wasn't just decades, it could be thousands, millions, even billions of years, so those of us in wellness pods had a better chance of survival, but only barely. Eventually, Earth warmed up again, and we woke up. That's why most people in this camp are young. The leader responded this time, yes, surviving involved a significant element of luck. First, the Ice Age came during our night sleep time, so many people had entered wellness pods. Other countries in daytime may not have been so fortunate. While some night owls might have survived, they wouldn't have lasted long without forming communities like ours. Natural selection, survival of the fittest. Prophet added, we who were frozen in wellness pods underwent another round of selection. The elderly and undeveloped children mostly died, leaving only those in their prime. Plus, the Earth experienced numerous tectonic shifts during our frozen state. Some unlucky people might have been buried underground, never to see daylight again. And women, Joker provocatively glanced at the leader, am I wrong? Women's physiques are naturally weaker, so fewer of them survived. Without enough women to bear children, our camp could face extinction in a few generations. Faced with such a sharp question, the leader rubbed his temples in frustration and finally sighed, Yes, you're right. Lushri had been listening intently. She didn't consider herself particularly smart, but she was willing to spend a lot of time thinking. Compared to Joker, who quickly accepted and analyzed reality, she struggled to contribute much to the conversation, only making one request in the end. I want to see if there are any of my family members among those who were rescued with me. Lu Shenroy's parents were busy with work, leaving her with her grandparents from a young age, where she grew up as an ordinary girl, accompanied by her grandparents. She had an older brother, 5 years her senior, who lived with their parents, perhaps because her father wanted him to inherit the family business. Hence, she wasn't very close to him. Before she fell into a coma, it was a rare family holiday when her parents and brother were home, and she had returned to her parents' house. Despite their infrequent meetings, blood ties transcended all. Lushri loved her parents and brother dearly, as well as her grandparents. If what they said was true, her grandparents were likely no longer alive, given they were nearly 70. But her parents and brother might have been found with her. This request was not unreasonable, but the leader denied it because the batch of people found with her had been buried underground again. Due to the countless tectonic movements during the New Ice Age, many who were frozen hadn't been found before the Earth warmed up. They might be buried deep underground or under the sea, impossible to excavate. It wasn't just about family. It was rare for anyone to find a familiar face among the survivors. Even the brothers from the country were an exception, having lived together and been defrosted and survived together, which was a rare occurrence. Most people never saw anyone they knew after waking up. Lushri and her group were found washed together in a sunless canyon, indicating they weren't originally together but had been displaced from their original locations. Besides Lushri and the 2 others, no one else survived. This meant even if her family was found with her, they were now buried corpses. Having confirmed only the 3 of them survived, they were called to explain everything. Do you still want to confirm it now? The leader asked her. Lushri silently shook her head. Even if they dug up the bodies, they would only confirm the dead. It was better to believe her family might not have been found with her and might still be alive somewhere in this world.